Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my talk. Today, the topic is the choice of tempo in Baroque music. When you are playing your piano, your violin, your musical instruments, have you ever thought, am I playing right tempo? Is my tempo too fast? Even it says allegro. And also, sometimes we get information from our instructor. Maybe they would say, okay, you should play faster, you should play slower. And have you then we went to YouTube or we went to CD to check, then we realize, wow, so many different musicians, they have so many different tempo. But which one is right? Which one is wrong? So this is what we are going to talk about today. I'm going to share with you. I will be focused on the music tempo in the 18th century, which is also late Baroque period. By using the treatises in 18th century of Leopold Mozart, Johann Philipp Kimberger, and Johann J. Quantz. Mozart, Kimberger, and Quantz, three of them, they were 18th century very popular musicians. And they all have their own treatises published until nowadays. So that's a very good source to us to know, especially in the same period, what composers, which they are in the late Baroque period, what all of them is thinking, what all composers want us to play the right tempo for their songs. Although Mozart, Quantz, and Kimberger, three of them have a little bit different perspective to talk about tempo, but in the end, you will notice actually they are all related. I'm going to share with you today. Okay, the very first thing is, what is tempo? Probably some of you will say tempo, maybe it is related to metronome. But actually, do you know when was metronome invented? Actually, metronome was not invented until 19th century. So how about the tempo before metronome invented? Okay, the definition of tempo from Grove Music Dictionary, it says, in Italian, it means time. Most familiar are metronomic designations that link a particular duration unit with a particular duration in clock time. Also familiar are conventionalized descriptions of speed and gestural character. Blah 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 blah. Finding the right tempo within and between sections of a piece is one of the most difficult tasks facing the performers. So from Grove, tempo is just not only what we know nowadays, the metronomic thing. Tempo also including speed and gestural characters, which means all Italian speed terms, allegro, andante, largo, etc. Okay, so let's go back to the 18th century treatises. Then we will realize actually the tempo issue is not only just happening today. In the 18th century, I'm sure so many musicians, they all have the same question, which one is right, which one is wrong. So that's why in the treatises, the authors, the musicians, they all talk about tempo. So how important the tempo is. From Kimberger, from his treatise, he says, tempo, meter, and rhythm, which give the melody its character and expression. Thus, tempo, meter, and rhythm give melody its life and power. Tempo defines the rate of speed, which by itself is already important since it designates a lively or quiet character. Meter defines the accents in addition to the length and brevity to the notes, and the lighter or more emphatic delivery, and it shapes the notes into words, so to speak. So now we know from Kimberger, from his perspective, tempo, not only just tempo, meter, rhythm, they are all related to the one of the elements for the melody. So meter and tempo is what I'm going to share with you later from Kimberger's perspective. And from Mozart, in his treatise, Mozart says very simple. He says, time makes melody. Therefore, time is the soul of music. Very simple, but very powerful. Although a very simple word, but actually, of course, Mozart, he used one chapter to discuss about tempo, also including meter, of course. Okay, so let's move on. The all Italian terms we are very familiar today. For example, allegro, andante, largo, adagio, etc. When did it appear? How about if this is appear, but before the music, how do we do the earlier music when the all Italian terms was not appeared yet? How do we do? That's why we need to think about tempo and meter together. Okay, so the very first Italian terms, it appeared in the 16th century, which was about Renaissance period. And it was in a guitar musical score by a Spanish composer, Luis de Milan. And he marked very, very simple there. He just marked on the guitar score and he marking fast, slow only. This is the very beginning. And of course, as time goes by, more and more composers, they are trying to put more and more terms in it. But actually, only have Italian terms, the speed terms was totally not enough for performers today. I'm sure all of you can feel this way. If it says allegro, how fast I should play, how slow I should play. It says largo, how fast, how slow. Am I right or am I wrong? So that's why I just mentioned from actually Mozart, Kimberger, and Quantz, it says besides all of those terms, we need to consider with meters. And also, besides the fast and slow, there was not a standard yet. And also, in the different country, they have all different speed. For example, in the allegro. In the beginning, actually, allegro in Italy and allegro in France, they are a little bit different. In the beginning, actually, the French allegro is faster than Italian allegro. But when it goes to 18th century, Italian allegro is faster than French allegro. So until 18th centuries, there were some musicians and scientists, they started to think, okay, we really should set up a standard to everyone, but how to do it? They try to use a scientific way. They're trying to maybe use machine or everything to count, okay, what is the standard allegro, what is standard tempo? So there were many ways for them to do it. But there were two most popular and people knows was one of the ways is they use pendulum. The pendulum to count the standard. And another way is to use heartbeat to count. One of the treatises, which is Quantz, he is using heartbeat to do the standard of tempo, which I will share to you later. Okay, let's just move on. So how about tempo and meter? What I just mentioned, they are related. What's their relationship? Okay, what is meter first? It's very simple way to explain a meter. Meter, which is in the music today, you see in the very beginning always have meter there, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. It is meter. And actually, have you ever thought today is 2/4? What 2 means? What the 4 means? 2 is quite straightforward. The 2 is just the 1 bar with 2 beats. But how about 4? From Kimberger, actually also from Quantz and Mozart, they have the same perspective for this. They say the button figure, actually it means something. It means the whole music, its style and his character, and of course it indicates the tempo. Okay, let's say from Kimberger, he mentioned these meters very, very detailed, but I'm just listing out some very basic meter that we see very often. I'm just to read for you. Okay, Kimberger, he says, okay, if today we see 2/2, which is also alla breve. 2/2, when we see 2/2, we should play heavy and emphatic manner. So usually, because this kind of music is more heavy and more serious, so it is usually happening in church music or fugue. And the next one is 2/4. When we see 2/4, we should play lighter manner. And today, if we see 2/8, then we need to play shorter and more lively. And he says 4/4 meter, we should play more serious, more grave, but it's not as heavy as 2/2. And if we see 12/8, we should play more lightly and fleetingly, and without emphasis in the first beat. And if today we see 3/4, which is also the minuet music form, we should play lighter. But if we see 9/8, we should play even much lighter than 3/4, etc. It sounds very complicated, but in conclusion, actually, it's a very simple way to think about it. Let's just check the button figure: 2/4, 3/8. This 4 and 8. So basically, the button figure means if button figure is 2, it means we should play more grave and serious. If the button figure is 4, it means we should play more lightly and faster characters. If the button figure is 8 and 16, or even more, we should play more lightly and fleetingly than the button figures 2 or 4. And also, if the number is bigger, we shouldn't add emphasis in the first beat. So I think its conclusion will make it more clear that how you to define the tempo you want today. So until now, actually, we already know the tempo is not just only the speed. The tempo actually is more like about the character and the style. Okay, let's go to Quantz. Just what I said before, Quantz, he used heartbeat to make a standard for the tempo. Okay, so Quantz, he thinks an adult the heartbeat, it is about 80 beats in 1 minute. So Quantz, he just used this 80 to categorize 4 standard tempo. The first one is the fastest one from Quantz is Allegro assai, and the second fast is Allegretto, and the third one is Adagio cantabile, and the slowest one is Adagio assai. So other Italian terms here is just among here and adjustable from all of these four standard. So Quantz, he thinks the fattest one, Allegro Assai, he always use 80 to count. Okay, for example, if today this song is Allegro Assai, it's 4/4. This music is 4/4. Then this 80, this should be minim equal 80. If it goes to Allegretto, also 4/4 music, then it should be quarter note, also crotchet, equal 80. So until now, I'm sure you understand how Quantz to measure the speed of the tempo. He just used 80 to do all the tempo thing. And also the same thing that Quantz and Kimberger, the same idea is Quantz always tell us we should check the meter button figure, that one. If the button figure is more like 8/16, then we should play lightly. If the button figure is less, like 2, we should play it more seriously. Okay, then we go to Mozart. Mozart, he also mentioned about meter, but the different thing is actually he listing out all the Italian speed terms to tell us what it means. I'm just listing out some more standard and we see more often the Italian terms to you. Okay, from Mozart, he thinks Allegro, it meaning cheerful and not to hurry a tempo. Allegretto, it means slower than Allegro, and usually it is very pleasant, charming, neat, and playful. And presto is meaning quick. Vivace, it meaning lively. And moderato, it means we should play not too fast, not too slow, just moderately. Andante, it's meaning walking. Adagio, it's meaning slow. Largo, which is a still slower tempo to be performed with long stroke. By the way, Leopold Mozart, he was a violinist. That's why he mentioned about long bow stroke. But I think it is okay and it's not too hard for you to apply for your instruments. And grave, it means sadly and seriously. Okay, so this is all the standard Italian terms we see very often. And if you are very interested in, just welcome you. Just go check Mozart, his treatise. And the last thing I want to share with you is dance music. The all dance music, actually, it is very important and it is also a very, very good source to indicate us how fast the music is, especially when there is no any Italian speed term there. Okay, so today I'm also listing out some dance music we see very often, like Allemande, Courante, Sarabande, Minuet, Chaconne, and Jig, to share with you how the 18th century the music is. Okay, so the first one is Allemande. In what Allemande means, actually, when we play Allemande, we should play more serious. And how about Courante? There are two different Courante. The first one is French Courante, and the second one is Italian. Italian is called Courante. So of course, in a general way, if we will see it's French style, we could play slower than Italian style. Okay, so the French Courante, it says we should play is more like ground, serious, noble with slow tempo. But when it goes to Courante, which is Italian style, then we should play fast. And Courante, it characterized by evenly running quiver. I'm sure when now you go to check out your Krente songs and Krante, they are all very different. The next one is saraband. So sarabande today we see from the CD, from the YouTube, from all the musicians, concert performers. Usually everyone plays sarabande very slow. But do you know actually saraband in the beginning, it was just more like a folk song. So saraband, its origin is in Spanish and New World folk art. So which means saraband is like folky style. And when saraband goes to 17th century in Italy, it is very colorful and exotic music and dance. But when sarabande goes to Bach, its time, 18th century, it became serious and majestic. The style become like that. So it is very interesting for us to think about the sarabande meaning. And also when you play sarabande, we should play much smoother than courante. Okay, the next one is minuet. So when we play minuet, we should think, okay, minuet, it is this kind of dance was happening in the French court. So it is noble and elegant dance. So when we play minuet, we should play springly, and we should use short bow stroke. And the tempo, we just do very moderate. Moderato tempo will be fine. Okay, let's go to Chacun and Passacaglia. Actually, in the beginning, Chacun and the Passacaglia, they were quite similar. They were all variation, and they were all use grand bass to do the all variations. But Chacun goes to 18th century. It became majestically and ground. So when we play Passacaglia, we could play faster than Chacun. So this is the differences between Passacaglia and Chacun. And we go to jig. There are also two different jigs. The first one is French jig. The second one is Italian giga. So now we know French and Italian again different. So when we play French jig, we should play very lively, very sprightly, short, and of course we use light bow stroke. But when we go to Italian giga, we should play extreme speed, and we should show the joyously and enthusiastically. So now, I'm sure now when we go back to our music, we will know actually the jig, a different language, actually it meaning different things. Okay, this is all I want to share with you today. Of course, the tempo thing is much more than we think. So I hope in the future I will have the opportunity to share with you more about tempo. So from all the tempo talk today, we will know actually in the 18th century perspective, actually tempo was not speed at all. It was more like a style, a mood, a characters that we want to present, we want to show from the music we play. And also, what is good tempo? In the end, we should just check all of the treatises. I'm sure for treatises from 16th century until nowadays, all musicians, none of them have said, okay, which is good music, which is right music. But they only say, as long as the music is with good taste. The good taste is the internal goal for every musician to think. Okay, that's all today. So thank you for watching this talk. So I will see you next time.